Hello again. This is me, Al, and we're on number 70 now. Just from the last one, there's just something I forgot to mention that I should have mentioned. Well, could have mentioned anyway, which is I forgot to sort of make obvious that the whole punchline to all this business about the code pages and whatnot, and that is maybe you figured it out on your own, but going back to this thing where I turn it all into Unicode and then do the Unicode report for the for this heap report. Well, see now the way I've got this set up is that it's going to print to two places. I don't know where, I forget where I set that up. It must be where I make the console. Where do I make the console? Here. Okay, so this for the warning messages, it has two places where two destinations, one to a file and two to this output window. And now I'm doing the report in Unicode, right? But that character for this window, which is using code page 1252, doesn't require it doesn't require Unicode to print that character. So this happily turns into character whatever. It's gone now, but whatever the number was, doesn't matter what the number was, but 183. But I'm also sending that same report as Unicode to the console, which happily maps that to character 250. So the punchline, I guess, is that although it's being printed out as Unicode, this is ANSI. This I can put into Notepad, and it should save it. Where am I now? Tell me. Yeah, that's a good file name. See, no problem. That's ANSI. Similarly, this here, if I copy this now and paste it into here, you see that's code page 437, or else it wouldn't come out as dots. It would come out as something else. So the same. They're both converting the same Unicode output into the respective code pages. Anyway, now on to the next bit. First thing is I want to tell you about another important message. And that is usually the first message that gets sent to a dialog box procedure. I don't know if there's anything that comes before it. Now, for a regular style window, the analog of this is called WM create, window create, or something like that. However, this message is sent to the DialogProc after the dialog has been fully created and everything initialized, but before it's been displayed. Oh my god, it took me right there. Now this is one of those exception ones where true and false values about my neighbor have a different meaning from the usual. Hang on, I have to pause for a minute. Hi. Sorry about that. My neighbors were enjoying themselves. And here they go again. I'll try not to think about it. Now, like I said, this message is sent after the dialog box has been created, but immediately before it's displayed. And our dialog box procedures will typically use these things to initialize controls and carry out other blah 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 blah. So that is, the thing is not visible yet, but it's fully created, and well, as it is. One thing I would like to do, at least minimally, is to not have it start way up here in the corner here. That's annoying. I'd like it to start in the center of the screen, if possible. Okay, so how can we do that? Well, that's one of those things that you search and search and search, and eventually you find it, and it's been sitting in my assist tray here waiting to be used. And I've got it written down here. We can get the width and height of the desktop using these functions. Now, get system metrics has a whole bunch of things that you can learn about. And this isn't just for screen size or to do with the desktop. It also has to do with defaults for default values for generally for all windows. Like what is the size of a typical of a standard dialog frame? What is the width, the X width of a rectangle? How much you have to move the mouse before a drag begins, and so on and so forth. All sorts of information in here. For our purposes, right now anyway, we just want this SMCX screen, which it should say, if you can find it. See, here it is. Width of the primary display monitor in pixels. Now, this is important, by the way, because pixels is one thing, okay? These units, these numbers are not in pixels, okay? These are in a special kind of numeric format called dialog units. And there's a way to do that, to convert these to numbers of pixels, but we don't have to worry about that. In fact, we don't have to worry about it because of the rest of this code here. Now, one of the things I did, now this should work, and it would have worked even without any changes, but now this thing here takes a long pointer to red. So I thought, Oh yeah, that's true. That, well, why not just derive from rect? Yeah, from rect. Now, I could have made this private, and that would mean X, left, top, right, and bottom would be private as they were. But then there's this problem of casting. So I figured, well, okay, it's only a rect, so somebody wants to mess around with left, top, right, and bottom, let them do it. So this should work okay. That'll fill up this our rect type thing, which has functions too, with a value in pixels. Okay. Now we got the width and height of the desktop, and the, well, should be this value for the handle, the dialog handle. And this will give us in pixels the rectangle for our dialog. Okay, it should have 0 and 0 for its top and left. And now what am I doing here? Why have I got another R? I don't think I need that. No, let me see. Need used. Now it's a matter of centering our dialog on the screen. So what we've got to find out is the position, the XY position where we would like to put the dialog such that it would be centered on the screen. Well, that's easy enough. You just take the width of the desktop, okay, minus the width of the dialog. So this is one of those things that you kind of have to draw a picture. Suppose here's the desktop, here's the dialog, something like that. Well, actually the dialog's over here. And we want to put that centered here, right? Now, so the difference between these two is this much, right? And if you divide that amount by 2, I don't know if I draw this so it's obvious. If I divided the desktop, assuming it was even, by 2, right? And place the dialog here, then it wouldn't be in the center, right? Because the center of the whole screen is here, right? Let me overlay what it used to be. Right? Here's the whole screen, and I want the dialog to be halfway between these two. So dividing this whole distance, the plus signs, by 2 and putting it there is no good. But if I take away half this width, now it's going to be centered in the screen. So there's my visual explanation of that, this line. Similarly for Y. Okay, now it's just a matter of placing it there, and that's using the set window pause, which does a lot of things. One of which is setting the position of a window. Thankfully, there's a flag you can add at the end for these U flags called no size, so that the size of your dialog, whatever it is, doesn't change. So these parameters are ignored. So you can give it an X and Y position for your dialog and supply as well a width and a height. But we don't want to change the width and height, we just want to move it. So by giving this flag, don't resize it, then these are ignored as we would like. And then this top bit, H1 top, places the window at the top of the Z order, which I don't know if it really works, but that would be good. You could try this too. But this one seems to be okay as far as I've tried. Now the only question is, what is one returned from init dialog? Now, this one should return true to tell the system to set the keyboard focus to the control specified by WParam. Well, we haven't done that, right? Otherwise false. So even though we've done some handling here, we should return false, because we don't want to prevent the system from setting the keyboard focus as it normally would. So this now has the opposite meaning. False means do the default, and true means don't do the default. Or is that the same? I guess it's sort of the same. Anyway, it's not going to ignore what we've done. And if this compiles, or at least, whoops. At least our window should show up in the middle. Okay, so that's an improvement. Okay. I probably did. Can I click OK or can't? So do I just remove that? I don't want to do this yet. I was curious about this. It turns out that heap grew again. It's very bizarre. I mean, the number of heaps. Okay. What's this? $12 heaps. So it started out at 5, then it went to 9, and then it went up to 12. God knows. Unimportant. Alright. So now I also added in cancel handler, which quit the dialog, but not with the value of OK. Didn't print anything out. Okay, don't need this, don't need that. Okay, now it's this WM init dialog, which is the key to everything that's going to follow. How much time have I used? Alright, well, I don't have much time left, but the first hint is to notice here that this is a number defined, okay? And what it's doing is it's really calling this thing, which is the function that eventually gets called by calling just a dialog box. So in fact, this is the function being called. You may have noticed it before. Should probably make that whatever. Okay, so it's DialogBoxParam. It's the one that we really want to look at. And it's that param bit that's going to help us in solving our problem. So, okay. Now, most of this is the same as the DialogProc, everything the same, except for this last argument, a value to pass to the dialog box in the lparam parameter of the wm init dialog message. So that is, if we use this function instead of that function, with everything else the same, okay, we can add something here and that something is going to show up here when this message comes along. Okay, so now we have a way of getting some information into this DialogProc of any sort through this lparam while it's processing this message. And you can sort of guess as to what this might be. Again, remember, I told you that these things are typically pointer values, right? So the idea then is to create a kind of class, or struct, we'll call it a class, keeping our name convention. Okay. Now, somewhere in here there's going to be a DialogProc, okay? Special DialogProc, a secret static proc, okay? And that code will do something, but when this thing gets going, what we'd like to do is pass into, when the dialogue starts going, the outside world sees something like, I don't know, int? I prefer to say int instead of int pointer, but it could be int ptr, I guess. Just to be pure about it. Do modal, let's say, just like MFC. Now, when this thing is called, that will invoke a call to this DialogBoxParam, and the param here will be this pointer. You see? Now, this pointer is going to come back to us, and then we're going to do something, a special thing that I haven't told you about yet, such that we can store that value in such a way so that it is one-to-one associated with this handle to window for the dialogue. That way, all messages that do with a particular instance of this object will automatically be associated with the correct instance of this object. That is, the h1 bit will sort of be hidden away, and only messages that have to do with a particular instance of this particular class will be processed by this class. So, for instance, that string would just be a member somehow, of this struct. Now, of course, not this particular struct. This will be something somebody will derive from. Now, the idea. Whoops. The idea is to make a virtual function, maybe with this name. I'm not sure what the best name. I don't know what to call this one either. Static DialogProc. Whatever name this is given is not the name that this will be. This will be a function that anyone who derives from this class will be forced to override. And the way to do that, let's say it's called DialogProc, or just for I don't like that name, but just for the case of, just for the sake of argument, it'll probably take 3 parameters rather than 4, because h-wind will be something that will be stored on a per instance basis. And then you do this thing, set this equal to 0. Now what this is called, this type of virtual function declaration is called pure virtual. Okay. That means the parent class is not implementing this. Okay. So you can never declare one of these just on its own, because there won't be any entry in the table for this function. Somebody has to derive from this thing and implement this function, and that forces the person deriving from this to implement it, and so that they'll, it's a hint as to what they're supposed to do. And then this function, through the global thing, will be called back on for messages pertaining to a particular instance of one of these objects. That's the plan. And we'll get to implementing that next time, I guess. Alright. See you later.